He never knew his father. The man was dead before the boy could speak. A Royal Marines officer cut down by yellow fever in the Caribbean during the War of Jenkins' Ear. Gone before Augustus Toplady had ever taken his first steps. Gone before he could be taught how to throw a punch or hold his grief or be a man. And so his mother raised him alone, in England, then Ireland, moving where she had to move, surviving the way widows of soldiers have always survived, quietly and without complaint. The boy she raised was brilliant and restless, preaching sermons at age 12 in the parlor when no one asked him to, writing poetry at 14 that read like a man twice his age. He was burning with something he could not yet name.
Look to your souls, for 'tis deep, but his light will guide us through the storm. Do not fear the cold world outside, for his fire burns within us.
The summer of 1755, Augustus is 15 years old. His mother has taken him to a revival meeting in the Irish countryside, not in a church, not in a cathedral, but in a barn. The preacher that night was no one of note, an ordinary man, barely educated, a follower of the Methodist movement sweeping through England and Ireland like fire through dry grass. He could hardly spell his own name. And yet, something happened to Augustus Toplady that night in that barn that he would spend the rest of his life trying to explain. He would write about it years later, still astonished. Strange that I, who had so long sat under the means of grace in England, should be brought right with God in an obscure part of Ireland, midst a handful of people met together in a barn, and by the ministry of one who could hardly spell his own name. Surely it was the Lord's doing and is marvelous. He walked into that barn, a restless, fatherless boy, burning with something he could not name. He walked out knowing what it was. He threw himself into theology the way some men throw themselves into battle. By 22, he was ordained as an Anglican priest. By 25, he had become one of the most fiery, brilliant, and controversial preachers in England. A committed Calvinist in a world of Arminian Methodists, a man who believed salvation was entirely God's gift, not man's achievement, and who would fight anyone who said otherwise. And he meant anyone. John Wesley, the giant of Methodist England, beloved by millions, became Toplady's great theological enemy. Their feud was spectacular and sometimes ugly. Pamphlets, sermons, public accusations. Toplady could be sharp as broken glass when he believed truth was at stake. He was not a gentle man in argument. But here is the thing that makes this story strange and beautiful. The very man he considered his enemy, John Wesley, had written a hymn collection years earlier, and tucked inside that collection, buried in a prefatory prayer, were words and images that would one day flow unknowingly through Toplady's pen. God has a sense of irony that would embarrass most novelists. By 1762, Augustus was 15 years old. His mother has taken him to a revival meeting in the Irish countryside, not